Hello my friends, welcome back to A Common Touch of Fantasy. My name is Paul, thank you for joining me today. Today I'm talking about the books that I read last week, the books that I'm planning on reading next week, and how I did with my time management in the last week. The books that I'm going to talk about today are The Big Moo by Seth Godin, Wild at Heart by John Eldredge, Myth Atlas by Thiago de Moraes, Paddle Your Own Canoe by Nick Offerman, and Educated by Tara Westover. I finished 5 books this week. One was a library audiobook, which was Educated by Tara Westover, and I read 4 library books, 20 hours of actual reading, which is 1 hour more than last week. That's including the unfinished book that I'm currently reading as well. And it was a mixed bag of books. The Big Moo by Seth Godin takes 33 different entrepreneurs and businessmen, businesswomen, and he asks them to write something that will help people with their businesses and trying to jumpstart their careers, things like that. However, I was very underwhelmed by this. I just don't think that business books in particular, entrepreneurship books in particular, is something that I really am interested in. I wanted to give it a try to see if I was interested in something like this, but I really wasn't, and I was very underwhelmed by The Big Moo. Wild at Heart by John Eldredge. This is a religious book talking about how men can regain their passion in their life, and basically the premise is that men are meant to be more adventurous, to be out in nature more, to be more spontaneous, and to do things with a little bit more passion than what they currently are doing. And right now, the idea, especially in the Christian world, is for men to be nice guys. Not that men shouldn't be nice, but that when their main focus is being passive and always being like a yes man and just really focusing on pleasing everyone, that sometimes he forgets to focus on the things that makes himself come alive. And I think that's what I got most from this book, is that real men engage with their passions, are not ashamed of their passions, and pursue their passions, be it something creative, something spiritual, something intellectual, something physical. They pursue those passions with their heart. When he talks about Jesus and how he is depicted as this really, calm, children all around him, it's really nice guy. But in reality, Jesus really talked against the Pharisees and the religious leaders, and that he was not afraid to speak his mind. And that really kind of opened up a different idea and different viewpoint of how I view Jesus. So that was a good thing for me reading this. I enjoyed this book. I thought it was pretty good, and some of the ideas I'm going to sit with for time. Myth Atlas by Thiago de Moraes. I'm going to grab this while I talk about this. This is a children's book, and I talked about this a little bit last week. It goes through the entire world, and there's 12 different civilizations that it talks about the different myths and the gods. And what's really cool about this is when it talks about the gods of each place, it gives this cool map where it has these amazing pictures and shows a description of the god. And there's a lot more information in this than what it looks like, just because each one of these has a little paragraph talking about the god. And I think what this really does is it makes someone more interested in specific myths around the world. I'm really interested in Hindu myths now. I want to read a fantasy book based off of Hindu myths, just because the Hindu myths in this were so interesting. I think if you have a child or you yourself want to get more into mythology, that this is a great place to start, and to take that and then dive deeper into the myths of the specific regions. What's nice about this is it covers a multitude of different civilizations and different types of people, and doesn't just stick with the traditional Western myths that most people are familiar with. Paddle Your Own Canoe by Nick Offerman. Now, I had very mixed feelings about this. Number one, I did not think it was funny. I think I was looking for his character on Parks and Recreation writing a book, and not actually Nick Offerman writing a book. And it just wasn't that interesting. And he goes on this really long tangent and rant about religion that was just ridiculous. I don't know. It didn't fit in the book. Like, I was okay if he would have talked about it for maybe a couple pages, but there were two different sections and that talked about his hate for religion, and it just went on a little bit too long. It was okay. I probably would not recommend this to people. It just wasn't funny, and I was looking for a memoir that was funny, and Tina Fey's memoir was much better than this one. Amy Poehler. I meant to say Amy Poehler. Amy Poehler's memoir was much better. Educated by Tara Westover. This is one of the most popular books in the last year and a half or so. And I finally got my audiobook reservation in, which took probably like 5 months. And this was decent. It was good, but I wasn't blown away. I think that because so many people have read it, I was expecting something to be like amazing. Like the hype was pretty high on this one, but it wasn't all that amazing. Basically, it's about a very radical Mormon family that keeps to themselves and doesn't allow their children to go to public school. And once Tara gets to a certain age, she wants to go to college. And that's when the book really got interesting, is when she went to college, which is about halfway through. And what was interesting is seeing how she looked at the world, because she didn't have these biases from if she would have went to public school. And so she didn't even know who the very basic people were that they would be talking about in different classes. And so she had a very interesting viewpoint on the world, and her writing reflected that. The parts with her family, they were difficult. The abuse from her brother was difficult. It was a good book, but I was expecting something a little bit better, but I did like it. All right, let's look at my time management. So the bottom is the week before, and the top is this last week. It's pretty much the same. I did 1 more hour of reading for a total of 20 hours of reading. My TV and movie time went up a little bit just because I watched the newest Fantastic Beast movie, which I thought was good. I liked it, but I can see why people wouldn't like it, because it's not very fun. It's more dark and serious. There wasn't any humor or fun in it like the previous movies. My computer time went way down. It went down by half, which is fine with me. However, I'd like to spend more time watching BookTube. Maybe try to get back into a habit of watching that. I'm thinking maybe try to schedule an hour this week, maybe tonight actually. They talk about books that I already know about, and when I was really into BookTube, they would talk about books I had no clue about what they were and who the authors were. But now when I'm so deep into the book culture that I know all the authors, so it's in all the books, so it's difficult to hold my interest as much as it used to. But I'm going to still give it a try and really dive back into it. My phone usage went down to about 3.5 hours, which is pretty good. I think this last week is basically where I want to keep my phone usage at. Let's look at the ideal time management is still 50 hours, and I'm thinking that is such a large number right now, so I need to figure out if that's really manageable to have 50 hours of leisure time. The last week I probably got the most sleep that I've gotten in a long time, so which was really nice. I probably averaged about 9 hours a night, which was fantastic. I feel great. This last week I just felt really good, so that's I'm happy about that. I got all my gym stuff in. I got all my nonfiction reading in. All right, so the goals for the last week were 20 minutes of exercise each day, read nonfiction. That has been my primary goal. This coming week I'm going to add a goal, and that's to eat clean. I need to really focus on my diet a little bit more, and that's going to be one of my primary goals this coming week. Secondary goals, weightlifting 3 days a week, which I did last week. Wake up at 7 a.m. I did that last week as well. Doing great. Reading in the morning has been going amazing. And the low value leisure time between 6 and 8 at night has really drastically reduced my computer usage and my phone usage, and has really changed a lot of how I structure my life and structure my time. And I'm going to continue with this because I really like this, and this is something that is working for me. Read 3 hours a day. I'm finding that in the middle of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm struggling to hit that 3 hour mark. Restructure my days on those days so that I can then read more. Maybe my low value leisure time would be less on those 3 days at nighttime. So I'm doing pretty good with that, and I'm pretty happy with my goals for this week and next week. This coming week I'm reading Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. I'm about halfway through this right now, and it's a religious book about setting boundaries with yourself and with others. I'm going to be doing my reread of 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson and really get my thoughts and ideas on Peterson and his message, and see if I agree with some of it, if I don't agree with it, or if I disagree with all of it. That's the thing. I'm the type of person that will see the goods and bads with individuals, the things that I agree with, things that I don't, and the is and the isn't, and that's important for me. And then I'm going to read this Manliness, Manvotionals, Wisdom and Advice for Living the 7 Manly Virtues. So that is my last week of nonfiction. I am so looking forward to reading fiction again in April. I'm already making my plans and everything, and that's going to be fantastic. And I'm so excited about that. But I have one more week of nonfiction, and I can do it. And I'm doing really well this month. So I'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks for watching.